I'll call this meeting to order. This is Breezy Point City Council, Tuesday, September 8th. Our first order is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we're having a little bit of trouble with our electronics tonight, so we won't be able to see the agenda or the meeting packet up on the screen. So we'll just have to kind of muddle through without it and take things as they come. Our first real order of business, it's one that I really enjoy doing. It's kind of a mixed feeling because when we do this, we know that someone has been in trouble. And we are so grateful for our police force that we have here. I do have another life-saving award for Jason Reiber. Jason, you want to come forward? We're getting kind of used to this. On July 10th, 2020, paramedic officer Jason Reiber responded to Dockside on the report of an unresponsive man. On arrival, Officer Reiber determined the patient was in cardiac arrest. Rescuation efforts included intubation and delivery of one shock. The Lucas II automatic CPR device was also deployed. The patient was flown to St. Cloud Hospital in his recovery. Reiber reports several first responders on the scene to assist with this patient's treatment, including employees at Breezy Point Resort. This is just a simple little paragraph which basically outlines what happens on a regular, I don't say a regular basis, but happens very often in Breezy Point. We are so blessed to have officers like Officer Reiber and among others that can be there within a matter of minutes to administer life-saving treatment to people that are really in trouble. And I want to read also a comment from the family of the man that Officer Reiber saved. On behalf of Bob's family and friends, we would like to say thank you. In life, there are those who run away from fires and those who will run towards a fire. Jason obviously is a hero that runs towards fires to do what he can to mitigate the situation at hand. Due to the fast and professional response from Jason and all the first responders, Bob is being given another chance at living. I pray that if the time ever comes when Jason and the first responders need assistance, multitudes of angels will be there for you, as they were for Bob, July 10th, 2020. Blessing to all who work so hard to save the lives of others. Obviously, I do get very emotional at this because you know that somebody's life was saved due to the training and the expertise of our officers. So Jason, another life-saving award for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The whole community thanks you.
Travis Loeffler.
Okay.
He was also a part-time officer for Breezy Point for many years. Travis was off duty with his family going to the resort, and he jumped in to help along with a perfect stranger and a civilian, a school teacher that had taken a CPR course 6 years ago. This was her first time doing CPR on a real person. And with the first responders that were on scene because they're resort employees, we have a really great team here. And everything just kind of fell into place. And it just goes to show that even if you're not working, you're still willing to jump in and lend a hand. And I was really proud of our team that day.
We have so many that support the life-saving efforts around here. Not only the companies that have donated money for the Lucas II, I mean, that's a blessing right there. And the AEDs, as well as the first responders that are here within a matter of minutes. Yes, I've said it kind of facetiously before, that Breezy Point's a great place to get sick. As we have the support of our police department, that they will come to us, and we are so grateful and we are so blessed to have them here. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I wish I had all the names of all the first responders and everybody that we could let everybody know, exactly who they are. And again, I say I'm blown away by all of the blessings that we have here. Next order of business is the consent agenda. You have before you the council minutes from August 3rd, 2020. You also have the approval of claims totaling $312,924.27, which consists of electronic checks 2599E through 2600E, electronic checks 2609E through 2610E, and paper checks 136182 through 136222, and 136224 through 136255. And then you also have a resolution accepting a donation to the police department. And we also authorize the hiring of part-time police officer, paramedic position, Peters, and then approving pay request for White Birch Road, Pratt's Affordable Excavating and Anderson Brothers, for a total of $34,770. And we have an adopted corrected personnel policy for the holidays. The personnel policy, it would need to clarify what a shift was. Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there anything that somebody would like to discuss separately? Michael?
I'd just like to add a comment on our part-time officer paramedic.
Yes.
We have yet another officer paramedic joining our team as part-time as needed. They're a resident of Nisswa and also serve on the Nisswa Fire Department, so great asset.
Yes. Gary?
No.
Rebecca?
No, sir.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Next order is open forum. Anybody wishing to come before the city council and speak to any topic may do so at this point. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and your address. Yes.
Do I leave the mask on, or can I take it
You can
off?
take your mask off.
I've talked to several of you before, and I've been to the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings, and what I would like to address is that
I need a name and address.
Name and address, please.
Colleen Connor Couts, 30760 North Lakeview Drive. I noticed in the minutes that, I might be jumping the gun a little bit, but I noticed that the mayor's notes that you were going to address the upcoming short-term rental
Yes.
issue, and I saw that there's a special meeting coming up about it, but before that time came, I kind of wanted to put a face on what the decisions could mean to some people. It gets a little bit long, but I'd like to tell you the original story. We moved up here about 20 years ago from the cities, and at the time, the house next door to us was a Breezy Point rental, and that went on for years and years and years, and it was awful. It was just awful. It was like living next to a frat house. There would be fires going when there was no burning ban. There would be unattended fires. You'd wake up at midnight, look out, the fires are blazing. There were people urinating in our yard. We always had to clean up bottles and cans before we mowed the yard. It would rent out to like 15 to 20 people. A lot of times you'd get like large groups of like guys or girls. the party would come back to our house or next door to us after the bar closed. The one day was a Saturday, and there was a bunch of guys, and I swear we heard the F word no less than 100 times. If we had to close our doors and windows and virtually be locked in. Then the couple that owned the house, nice couple, elderly couple, they moved up there and were up there for a number of years. It was beautiful. The house on the other side of us sold, and the guy decided he wanted to rent it out. And so he had revolving door rentals in there all the time. Then I think the city talked to him, or he got a letter, and he complied, and kind of went down. I don't know if he's doing it the 4 times a year or not, or what he's doing, but it's been different. Then the house on the other side of us, the original house, was changed hands and has become a rental, revolving door, somebody different every week. And so then now, originally this started off where it was just an issue that I was having to deal with, but then when the county has instituted their, upcoming changes, or not changes, I guess it's all new, that could, depending on what you guys figure out going forward or decide, that could really change things to the point where I could be looking at anywhere from 30 people from Memorial Day to Labor Day being surrounded, because they say 4 people to a bedroom plus 1. You could be looking at 17 people over here and 17 people over here, and I would be surrounded from all summer long up with 30 to 35 people.
Okay.
And so I just kind of wanted to, before you go forward with your meetings and your decision making and things like that, I just wanted to kind of put a face on it. And I wanted to kind of make you stop and think that this could be opening up a real can of beans, depending on what you decide.
Well, there's going to be plenty of time for, discussion.
Is the public welcome to the October 13th meeting?
It will be an open meeting, yes.
Okay.
It's the regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting.
So is that just a general discussion meeting, or
It
what?
is going to be a workshop. In other words, the city council will be meeting in conjunction with planning and zoning to give them direction. So we still have a long ways to go, and then planning and zoning has to revise the ordinance, and then it comes back to the city council for approval.
And those will just be all open meetings?
Those will all
the
be
regular scheduled ones?
Right now, it's going to be regular scheduled. The workshop is a joint session, so it's a special session for city council. However, during that 1-hour period, it's going to meet from 6 to 7, and during that time, it will be just discussion. There will be no decisions made at that point. The idea there is to give direction to planning and zoning, and it'll be a joint discussion of everybody. Patrick?
And ultimately, if the city council changes its current ordinance, we are required to hold a public hearing at the city council for that.
Right. So, there's still going to be a long ways to go for, it is,
I guess my main
comments.
point is I really would encourage you to maintain the 4 times a year that, allows everybody to do it if they want to. But, if it's a limited thing, I think that could really prove to be detrimental to the community a lot.
Right, and there's a lot to be considered in this, and so I'm not going to say which way we're going to go, other than a careful read of the county ordinance. There actually is a lot in there, but it's kind of buried in some of the text. So those are some of the things that we have to flush out, and we will be discussing those in the workshop, and then it will be more meetings with planning and zoning as well as public hearing coming up. So we're just starting on a path.
You'll see me again.
I'm sure. Thank you for so much. Anybody else? Okay, I will close the open forum at this point. Mayor and city council reports. Do have, I did include my my comments while my head was still okay. The administrator and I attended a special meeting of the Pequot Lakes Fire Board that was called to address funding. It was actually initially, there's a whole lot more than just this one paragraph that I have written here, but this kind of boils it down. But we initially went to a meeting to discuss the Firemen's Relief Association, how that functions. So we got a better idea as to what's happening in that. And part of that meeting, the police chief mentioned the fact that they are going to be having some need for equipment, and they don't have the money to pay for that equipment at this point. Over the next 5 years, they're going to be needing about $800,000 to buy new equipment. And right now, they don't really have any support coming from the city council for that. So as part of our current budget, we are going to be budgeting an extra $20,000 because we expect that they will be coming to all of the contract holders asking for extra money over and above the budgeted fire contract to help pay for the equipment coming on. And also, you know, the next thing is golf carts. Still receiving, you know, complaints about inappropriate driving of golf carts. It seems like the major offenders are the kids. They're, you know, too young, driving too fast, too many passengers, etc. Just generally being unsafe. Hopefully this will be mitigated now that school's in and they have more activities. In fact, just last night I met a person in the street. She recognized me as mayor, so we had a talk, and she was commenting on having, you know, seeing kids operating unsafely. So if you do witness behavior or something like that, please just get the license number. Don't accost them verbally or physically, and just get their license number, and then we'll send a letter to their parents, and hopefully we can change around that behavior. But just get us the license number, and then we will contact the appropriate people. And as we just discussed in open forum, the VRBO ordinance 153-100 that we currently have here in the city needs to be revised so that it is will not be in conflict with the new countywide VRBO ordinance. We do need to have like direction. We need to give direction to planning and zoning, and I am going to be calling a special meeting of the city council for 6 to 7. It'll be a workshop meeting. We will be discussing with planning and zoning on October 13th in order to come to some sort of direction, give them what they need to go forward with revising that. It's not going to be an easy process because we do have two sides to consider. We have the homeowners that are adjacent to these places. We also have the property owners that want to engage in a legal, basically a legal business that the county allows them to do. One of the things is we can be more restrictive. We can't be less restrictive. So that is going to be the next thing that planning and zoning is going to have a good deal of work to get done. And then also tonight we're going to be looking at the budget for 2021. Major item to note is that the overall levy will be approximately a 0% increase for the tax rate in 2021. And right now, this is just a best guess estimate because we don't have all of the tax capacity numbers in yet, but they should be in shortly. So I may or may not call a special meeting sometime before specifically to review the budget details prior to final approval in December. So some of the specific things to note is that the reserve amounts that we had laid out last year, or actually for this 2020 budget, those will be still being approved in the existing budget this year. It also includes a significant reduction in the liquor fees because we have talked about giving the business owners some relief on the COVID-19 closures. So that will be included as part of the general fee schedule that will be submitted in November. And also is included as a pay raise for the city council. Last increase was in 2015, and it'll be approximately $3,000 per year, which is like a $50 a month, or $50 a month pay raise for the city council. We are, in actuality, the lowest paid city council in our area. So that completes basically what I wanted to talk about. Let's go through and the... yes.
Can I clarify your number 3? You identified that you were going to call for a special meeting
Yes.
at 6 o'clock on the 13th?
Yes.
Did you do that officially? Because if you do it at a public meeting, then I don't have to pay the newspaper, or the city doesn't have to pay the newspaper to do a special notice.
So by me saying that I'm calling a special meeting on the 13th...
Actually taking action tonight by the city council, having a motion and a second, would avoid $80.
Okay. Like I say, this is going to be a very significant topic, so I will entertain a motion to call a special meeting at between 6 and 7 on October 13th to be a workshop, joint meeting with planning and zoning to discuss specifically the VRBO ordinance.
So moved.
For second.
Second.
Discussion. Michael?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Is an hour long enough? Is my concern.
It may or may not be, and we will determine if we make enough progress. And I will have a special agenda for it, and I've been doing quite a bit of reading into the ordinance that the county has proposed, and I'm very familiar with our ordinance. So I think we should be able to give direction, and then there will be a lot of discussion within P&Z as well. But we need to give them direction as to which way to go. Gary?
No, I'm fine.
Rebecca?
No, I don't have any.
Gary?
None.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of calling a special meeting for October 13th at 6 o'clock, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The meeting is scheduled. Does that make you happy, Patrick? Committee reports. Let's start with planning and zoning. Michael.
Yeah, out of order. P&Z did meet last month. In front of them, they had a conditional use permit for a detached structure. That was approved. Some further discussion happened. Really didn't go far because there's only 3 out of 5 planning and zoning members, so they decided to hold off on most discussions until everybody can reconvene and have all members there in P&Z.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. Roads Committee, Gary, anything?
No.
Budget personnel, Rebecca?
The
We'll get to
budget
the
stuff,
budget.
I think we'll.
Yeah, we'll get to the budget in a
Yep.
minute. Anything?
Nothing for
Okay.
personnel.
Okay. Gary?
Only one minor item. The cemetery commission is going to meet Monday, 14th, 10 a.m. at the cemetery to determine how many more benches are going to be allowed. Other than that, quiet.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. The road committee did actually partake in discussion with the joint effort between Pequot Lakes, Ideal Township, and Jenkins in regards to upgrading the corridor, specifically our road, Bushman, interconnecting with either Ackerson or Nelson Road. We attended the Pequot Lakes City Council. So far, Gary and I have been involved in this joint effort. We've had board members from Ideal and Jenkins, but no leadership from Pequot Lakes, no council members. And so we wanted to attend their meeting to essentially make sure that they're still on board. We're going to be going to get an RFP for a study to see what our costs might be looking at just to get that study, to start the ball rolling with upgrading the corridor. A potential final outcome, best case scenario, is potentially turning that into a county state aid highway, which then we turn it over to the county to take over, maintain long term. That is the ultimate goal. There's a number of steps between there that we may just be looking at upgrading to city standards, but we are working on a joint effort with that. I don't know if Patrick has anything else to add more than, we're still working on this. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint.
Thank you. I totally forgot about that, even though it's one of these big ones that we have going on. Next, we have the budget discussion. You have the memo from the city administrator. Talks about the budget discussion, and that's, where does it start? Page 21. Okay. As I was saying, the target for the budget discussion was to have a 0% tax rate, and the current budget that we have proposed will meet that. If you want, we can go through all of the expected revenues. I don't think we really want to go through this line by line. I wish we had the meeting packet up. Patrick, should we go through this since we can't see it?
Sure can. Now my screen just went crazy, so
Yeah.
apologize. So the first item I would want to talk about, as you mentioned earlier, Your Honor, was the liquor licenses. Right now we're budgeting for $0 or $25 per application under the liquor license. And at the very end of the, we previously had collected about $12,000, just over $12,000. It's included in the packet. And this is going along with the action from the discussion from the City Council about wanting to assist businesses that have been affected by COVID-19. Now, obviously, this won't go all the way, and our city was a little bit different than some of the others because our liquor license renewal is on January 1st. We actually received all of our revenue for 2020 licenses in 2019. And so what we're talking about is receiving revenues in 2020 for 2021 licenses. And so that's why we were proposing a 0% for next year. One other important item right under that was the golf cart permits. Currently, we've been collecting $10 for the last 10 years for permit fees, suggesting that we increase that to $15. That would bring in a total revenue of $7,200. The idea is to try to cover some of our costs for permits, and individually, I think I've talked to each of you on how we don't come close to covering our actual cost for issuance, financial recording, insurance, supplies, document, and enforcement. Under expenditures, we did budget for the 3% wages for union employees and for regular employees. Health insurance, we also saw a 9% insurance premium increase. Other significant issues, IT support. I was notified last Monday that our IT supplier, Sourcewell, is no longer going to be providing that service as of January 31st, 2021, and so we will be going out for RFPs. That'll be happening in October or November, and so you'll see I more than doubled the number in some departments because I had to go back from previously what my predecessor Joe Rudberg had documented, and we had some good savings with Sourcewell, but it just wasn't feasible for them to continue to offer that service. And so we should be able to modify that number depending on what we finally learn from the RFPs. And then we had the fire department, where the mayor talked about the additional $20,000 to go towards planning for equipment when the fire department in the city of Pequot decides that they need to raise our rate. We should be well prepared for that. Then I broke into the different transfer funds to make sure that we had dollars ready for seal coating, road improvements, Bushman Road plans, accrued employee liabilities, and additional land acquisition costs. Moving all the way down to Public Works, we budgeted we doubled the amount. This year we had very good success. If you remember the first year we weren't able to get anyone hired, but it worked very well, and if we can maintain that for next year, we would like to have 2 people there. We would let you know that the individual that we currently have for this year, we've actually extended his time, and we're able to do that because we've had some full-time employees leave us this year that we were not budgeting, and so there's been some savings, so we're able to cash flow that part of it. We also, under Public Works, it's important to note for a city with our 60-some miles blacktop and bituminous or gravel, each year we only have $28,000 to bring in extra aggregate and $32,000 for blacktop, and that's increasing both those funds by more than 20% because it's surprising when people say, well, just throw some more gravel down on my road, and we tell them we've got about $6,000 for the whole city because of everything else we have to do, and their eyes get really big at that point in time. So we're trying to increase that. Capital outlay, in 2021, we're planning to buy a new road grader, and we've got, due to the diligence of this council and my predecessor, and everybody working together, we've got the dollars to pay for that without bonding for a new grader next year. Those are not inexpensive pieces of equipment at about $250,000 when all said and done. We will be trading in our other one. And then getting to the different line items, if council decides that they want to raise their salaries, they will have to do that action in October. That is required before the election. And as the mayor identified, that would be $50 a month for each of you. So that discussion would be had in October. There are some other expenses just unrelated to COVID-19 that the CARES funding won't address. Moving on, I'm at 6 and 7 of the line items. Different changes to salaries due to the employees changing over in Public Works. Also insurance, we had some changes with some employees opting out, so there's been some changes there. And in 2021, we're calling Project 19429, which is the Papago Suffolk Whitebird Street. That will be completed as a pay request is pending soon, and that project is complete, so that won't be on the budget any longer. So as the mayor stated, we're shooting for a 0 tax rate change, and that's the important number to look at because if you recall, the city's value went up by about 5%, but I won't have the final numbers from the county till the end of this month, and that's why I'm not able to provide you the exact details of where we're at. I actually think we'll be even, might be a negative with we were 2 years ago, but I don't want to get hopes high. You will have to take separate action on the liquor licenses, and what we're talking about is doing that in either November or December. Probably November to make it clear so that they know what the 21 fees are. We can get that out to all the business owners. And then we had that pretty chart that the mayor always likes me to show, showing where the city of Breezy Point is in comparison to some of the cities in the county, and it shows us third from the bottom of some 20 different taxing jurisdictions, with our tax rate at 46.56 versus you go to Crosby at 113. So they're double us. Brainerd and Baxter are both in the 55s, 56, Pequot 56, and again we're at 46, so that's why we're at there. What I would ask for the city council to approve in your packet, you've got resolution 16-2020, and it has a total levy of $2,492,381. That includes for the general fund, the EDA levy, the cemetery, and the 2012 refunding bond.
Okay, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 16-2020 to approve the levy and the budget for 2021 for the
So
city of
moved.
Breezy Point. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Gary, we'll start with
None.
you. Anything?
None.
Comments? Rebecca?
No, I'll just echo what Patrick said. I think it's great to see that we're planning and budgeting for things as opposed to, taking on additional debt for the city. So I'm just happy with where everything's at this point.
Gary? Anything? Michael?
Nothing further to that.
I just have to, basically echo what Rebecca was saying. She also sits on the Finance Committee with me. And it's really no credit, other than I've just been saying I don't want to take on any debt. But administration here has put us into a financial position that puts us one of the best cities I'm sure in all of Crow Wing County, if not in the state. We are very blessed with sufficient reserves so that when going forward, we're planning ahead, putting away money proactively so that when these expenses come up, we can pay for them without having to take on any additional debt. All those in favor of approving Resolution 16-2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The resolution is adopted, and this defines the maximum budget we can have. We still have a couple months. We can reduce it if we see it, possibility of that. But I will have to say, I think administration has done a very good job in laying out and looking ahead for our budget. Administrator and staff reports. Review proposal to donate lots from the Spikers. Page 42. There are 3 lots just located to the north of us. It's Lot 135 of the 13th edition to Breezy Point Estates, Lot 136 of the 13th edition, and Lot 213 of the 14th edition. We have been contacted by the property owners to have those lots donated to the city. If we are interested in accepting these lots, I will entertain a motion to approve Resolution 17-2020, accepting lots 135, 136, and 213. And then we can have some discussion. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Gary, we'll start with you.
None.
Okay. Rebecca?
Just to confirm, these are lots that are minimum maintenance roads, so you can't build on them right
Correct.
now. Hence the low property taxes that are received from those properties. And at some point, if those roads were improved, we could sell the lots or put them out for bid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And just basically to answer the indirect question, the Lot 135 has an assessed value of $2,500. Lot 136 has an assessed value of $2,800, and Lot 213 has an assessed value of $2,300. And all 3 lots total about $75 total.
In taxes?
Area in taxes, yeah.
Yeah, how many lots do we have now? 400?
Oh, as far as tax forfeit lots?
Yes.
It's not that many anymore. We've reduced that amount significantly from years past. To the best of my knowledge, I think there's about 170 lots
Okay.
left.
All right.
So we've made progress.
Okay.
Over the years.
I'm okay with it then.
Yeah. Michael, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving Resolution 17, 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The resolution to accept those lots is approved, and we will direct administration to move forward on getting those lots transferred to the city. Okay, we got that one taken care of. We also have, next item is adopt eyewitness policy. Memo here from the Chief of Police, mandated eyewitness policy. By February 2021, the chief law enforcement officers of every state and local law enforcement agency shall adopt and implement a written policy on eyewitness identification practices that is identical or is substantially similar to the model policy. We have before us the eyewitness policy, and the requested action is to approve the eyewitness policy. So I will entertain a motion to adopt the mandated eyewitness policy.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Michael, I'll start with you. Any comments?
Nothing further to add. It's a mandatory thing to adopt.
Right. Yeah. Gary? Anything?
No.
Okay. Rebecca?
No, I don't have any.
Gary?
No, sir?
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the mandated eyewitness policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Policy is adopted. Catch up here. Three more pages. Another memo from the Chief of Police. The department had a forfeited 1997 Lincoln Continental, and the case is now complete. And we are requesting authorization to put the 1997 Lincoln Continental up for bids. So the action here is to approve the authorization to put the Lincoln Continental up for bids.
So moved.
Second.
Further comments, discussion? Gary?
None.
Rebecca?
None.
Gary?
Yes, I would like to see the airport get an airport car. And the reason is more and more people are coming in here. More and more people want to build hangars. More and more people. They're the kind of people that we'd like to help. And I would like to see the airport get a car and let them take care of the insurance and all responsibility for that vehicle, maintenance. But it ends up they use Cliff's truck and then he doesn't have anything. So a Lincoln Continental is not my idea of an airport car.
Right.
But
Well, the limo. This motion is basically to put the car up for bids. The airport is a private entity. If they want to bid on it, they can.
Well, I understand that, but the city benefits tremendously from the
Right.
airport. And
Yeah.
so I would like to see the city donate a car to the airport for the use of people that come in here that have no way to go from the airport to do any business. And I think it would be, if somebody says, yeah, we can do that, they have an airport car, we can go look at that property and without any problem, or whatever it might be. And in my flying experience of 30 years, very few airports I went into didn't have an airport car. And I realize it's a private airport, and I realize we don't have anything to do with it in a sense. On the other hand, we do with the Planning and Commission, and I think it would be a nice gesture to do that. That's my feelings.
Okay?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I might add to that, I would agree with Councilman Mitchell. You know, how many cars the city has sold due to drug violations, drunk driving, et cetera, et cetera. City's profited a great deal. And I would encourage the city to make a donation to the airport as it's growing. And I think it's a great idea and a nice gesture on the city's part. I don't know about a tax write-off, and that would be something that the administrator would know as far as the city goes, if we even need a tax write-off. But again, it would be a perfect car, and I'd like to see
What you're saying is all very well and good, but we really only have three choices of what we can do with that car.
and that is,
Those are, we can keep it for ourselves,
Okay.
for ourselves to use,
very good,
or we can put it up for bids and sell it,
very good,
or we can scrap it.
very good. My
Those are-
response to that is,
Those are our only three choices.
I would make a motion that we keep it for ourselves,
Well, we
then we donate it to the city. Motion on the floor.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, point of clarification, we already had a motion and a second. We're putting the vehicle up for bid.
yes, we do.
Do we
Yes.
have a
Okay.
motion between them?
No, we can't, no, we can't do that. You're right. We already have a motion on the floor.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
The-
call the roll and we'll go from there.
Okay, and like I say, we only have those three options, and I don't think we would have the option to donate it to a private entity. That's
I
my-
disagree, so call the roll.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the
Before,
Lincoln?
Mr. Mayor, before we go into that, can we have further discussion on that?
Oh,
motion?
yes. I'm sorry, I missed you, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, you missed me on the first motion, but now that we've had a motion and a second motion and a second, we're.
Right, okay. Well, the second motion was inappropriate, so.
So who made the original motion to put the vehicle up for bid?
You actually did, Michael. It was seconded by Gary Bakken.
Okay, so I'm assuming, Gary, you're with, I don't know what
How
the,
about if I withdraw the motion?
you withdraw yours?
I withdraw the motion.
The second.
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 Now we're round we go.
So what we still have is a motion on the floor, a withdrawn second, so if the motion's gonna take a vote, you have to have a second to that motion.
Is there another second for the motion to put the Continental up for bid? I'll make that second, so that we can continue the discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Michael now.
All right, so I'll speak on Mr. Bakken's and Mr. Mitchell's potential motion that may come across. What I see is if we were to go down that path of your thought process of donating a car, when does that stop? When does donations stop for another
When does
vehicle?
the other one stop?
So I hate to see that process, you know, is the next vehicle going to be a better vehicle for the airport and we're going to continually swap out? So it's a private entity. It's like asking us to donate a vehicle for the Ace Hardware. It's a private business running. I have a hard time going down that path. So that's my discussion.
Okay. So, discussion is done.
No, I want to say something.
You're next.
I don't think it's setting precedence at all in that the city benefits. Oh, look at airport days. How much does the city benefit from airport days? That airport is a plus for this city. And it's not setting precedence. If you tell people, look, this airport does a ton of business for us. Just talk to the people that sell gas and the other things. I strongly disagree with Michael, although I respect him a ton. I just don't think it's going to set a precedent.
Okay, any further discussion? Rebecca, anything?
I guess I don't know, Patrick, what the rule is on a city donating things to a private company within the city. I guess that's what I would look up first for this one. I also am not sure whether this would be the car you would want to donate to them if that was going to happen. And I do think, you know, you could say the same thing about you know, any of the other businesses in town that, you know, they help the city of Breezy Point a lot too. And so I wouldn't be surprised if other people then would come asking for something similar. So it could create some conflict.
I'll tell them if we have another Lincoln Continental from the 90s, we'll give it to them.
That's a heck of a flag to fly at the airport. Lincoln
If we get $200 for that car, I'll be surprised.
My turn? You done, Rebecca?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
My thoughts are this: let's withdraw the whole works, and let's have the League of Minnesota's cities research whether or not it's okay. And that should satisfy the mayor's concern, Rebecca's possible concern, and Councilor Maroney's concern.
Well, I'm sorry.
Let's let them research with the cities. Come on, that's what we pay them for.
57 Lincoln Continental is really, I have to agree, not the greatest airport car. But I would like to see the airport get something down the road that's, would be.
Doesn't have to be with this one, Gary. Let's just kill it
economical.
and get a reading from the League of Minnesota Cities to pacify everybody here.
Okay.
At this point, I'm going to call the question. I'm not going to table it at this point.
Good.
I'm going to call the
Good.
question. All those in favor of putting the Lincoln Continental up for bids, please say aye.
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 Rebecca, you're up.
Hi. Sorry.
Everybody's in favor of having it up for bids.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
The question is done. And the airport can definitely bid on it if they want it.
But I will bring it up again when we have another.
So will I, Counselor. We're going to pursue this in earnest.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if we can, then
Yes.
can we direct staff on
Yes.
researching that for future potentials?
We can do that.
The other concern I'd have is that nobody here serves on the airport board.
No.
This may not be a vehicle, an expense, or anything that they may have we don't have anybody here that would have accepted that donation.
Right.
So if we're going to move down the path of saying that we can allow for the city to donate forfeited vehicles, there should almost be an application process.
For other cities?
For anybody to have a vehicle donated to them.
I disagree with that. Totally.
Well, that's.
Why would you open it up to other cities?
That's.
No, not other cities, other participants of the city, of the city. So another entity could ask for a donation if they have another purpose that can serve the community.
Good point, Counselor. And again, I echo your, let's have it researched, please, and maybe we can put this all to bed and not argue about it.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Let's
Is that
move on.
Is that needed as a motion, or are we in consensus?
I don't know,
that
ask the
staff-
mayor.
We just need to direct the staff to do that, and
Good, thank you.
we'll take care of that. Discussion on COVID-19 and renting city
Mr. Mayor?
facilities. Yes.
I apologize, we do have one more sale of a retired squad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I thought they
needed to
were
move
both
forward.
together, but.
Here we go. We have a new squad car that has been purchased, and the old one is going to be sold to the St. Cloud Driving School, and they want to buy our 2014 sedan that has 121,000 miles on it for $5,000. The chief feels that this would be a good price for it, and that it eliminates the having to go out for bid and public sale. So entertain a motion to sell the 2000 Ford sedan to the Minnesota Highway Safety Research Center for $5,000.
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Further discussion. Gary?
No.
Rebecca?
None.
Gary?
No.
Michael?
None.
All those in favor of selling the 2000 Ford sedan to the Minnesota Highway Safety and Research Center for $5,000, please say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Sales approved. CARES funding. Patrick, I'll let you lead this one.
The first one under CARES is the update and direction from City Council.
Right.
We went through the list of what we have opened up as of, I want to say it was June, after everything being closed down. The one thing that's still at issue, the community room, City Hall, and the library are not open to the public at this point. And staff is not recommending that we do that. I did, however, see an interest. It all comes down to cleaning and having to sanitize every place that they've been. I did see Cross Lake is working out an agreement where they come in during certain times, and if I can work with the Women's Club to manage and clean our facilities while there's that, I would then be in favor of it. But I couldn't get, I had left a message for Clarice and she and I didn't get to communicate as an option, because it all comes down to time and cleaning. And you might think that our library isn't used a lot. Last couple of years, it's been used a lot during the summer, but it comes down to having to be able to clean all the facilities, and we just don't have that extra staff time.
So this is basically just a discussion.
If the council wants us to open it up, we would open it up,
Okay.
and we'd have to do the cleaning. Otherwise, we'd try to work out something with the Women's Club.
Okay, let's open up for discussion. Gary, I'll start with you. Any comments?
No.
What would you like to do?
At this moment. I want to hear the rest.
Okay, Rebecca, any comments?
Just on the facilities? So-
Just on facilities.
Yeah, no, if you can get something worked out, Patrick, for the cleaning, I'm comfortable with it, but I really would leave it to staff to kind of make that decision. They're the ones that would be most at risk for it, so.
Yeah, basically, we would give them the direction. We would say, yes, let's open things up. Okay. Gary, any comments?
Yeah, one person's idea of cleaning is not another person's, and my opinion would be to have somebody that does cleaning for a living, and if people want to use something, they will pay for the cleaning of that through a private enterprise. And the city can choose that enterprise. One person walk around with some Windex and spray something and wipe it down, and the next person will disinfect everything there is, and you don't know. So if cleaning is of issue, then we want to know that the place has been cleaned properly.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So what you're saying is we would increase our facility usage fees to include a cleaning surcharge?
Yes.
Michael, anything? Thoughts?
One of our most valuable assets to the community is our employees. So by renting out facilities without adequate cleaning, we subject ourselves to losing one of our most valuable assets to COVID-19 potential. If the rental, and I'm only going to speak on the rental portion of it, Mr. Mayor, is if we were to consider that rental, I think a proper cleaning after each use should be done, should be included with the fee schedule. Speaking of the library, come and go traffic, unless that was organized specific times and whatnot, I want to make sure our staff is protected, and that's my concern.
Historically, from what I've seen when I've been in here on Wednesday mornings, the library is used fairly heavily during the summer. And from the people that were coming in that I met, they're pretty much all snowbirds. So I don't think we have that heavy of usage during the winter time. And so when it comes down to risk, having a person, walk in, get some books and walk out, I think the risk is pretty low on something like that. So I would tend to say, okay, look, we could open up the library, because I don't think it's that heavily used during the winter. During the summer, yes, it actually, on a Wednesday morning, there would be 2 or 3 people in almost every Wednesday morning when I was, here. Patrick and Deb, you know, do you see
Well,
much?
Patrick was saying, Cross Lake is doing it, they're setting up, set times that people would meet them. And
Okay.
then whoever's manning the library would sanitize it.
Mhm.
So that's, I would say that would be the best way. If we're gonna open it up and the library staff wants to do that, the women's club, then we gotta figure out a way that people would call ahead and schedule, okay, wanna come in from 10 to 10:30 on Tuesday morning and pick out a book.
Okay.
We have somebody here and then it gets sanitized. But
That-
otherwise, I don't think it should be open to
Right.
just traffic at any time.
And that could work. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
See, the benefit of wisdom is listening to everybody else, the brain trust work, and then I jump on the bandwagon. But I totally agree with what Gary says, Councilor Murray and Deb. Got to protect the staff.
Well, and I think the other thing we're most wondering about is the church that meets here on Sundays.
Right.
Is that something you want to open up to? Is the money we're bringing in worth it, or?
They're restricted to certain amounts, of course.
And that's where I was talking about, if we would have, because they actually rent it, correct?
Favorite.
Yeah, and so we would have a rental surcharge for cleaning.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if that would be acceptable, then they could be back meeting in here.
I like what all the council members have said. If you want to give me that authority to work out that and then put together some information for council, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
so I think the consensus here, the direction is to have staff put together a plan specifically for the library as far as having it manned and hours of operation, as well as an appropriate surcharge for rentals of the facility to have the cleaning being taken care of.
The way I see that too, just for clarification, is that the rental, because there would be fees, the council has to authorize the fees.
Right.
When it comes to the library, if I can put together a program before the next council meeting, we'll go ahead and implement that.
Correct, yeah, because that's, there's no charge for that.
Yep,
For-
okay.
For the rental places, or for the rentals, you know, I think we could have a surcharge, and you could figure out what the fee could be, and then we could authorize that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, one real quick question, perhaps to the administrator. Patrick, our cleaning staff, we have a regular person that comes in and cleans the building. At least I've seen
We have a company that comes in once a week,
once, and they're qualified to do that, I'm sure.
definitely.
That's all I need to know. Yes, sir, thank you.
It comes and goes, Mayor, I apologize.
It comes up here and then it goes away
I
there.
think it's our Wi-Fi.
It's not attached to our Wi-Fi.
Oh, there it is.
Should all.
Ta-da.
That's the segue. Care funding. Part of our care funding, we have been given 187,000 something or other dollars that we could use for mitigation of the impact of the COVID virus. And we've been looking at this. There's some rules that you can use for care funding. There's some rules, things that you can't use for care funding. And staff has been looking at what we can do and what we can't do, what other cities have been doing. We have a list of items that we are proposing to spend care dollars on. One of the things is to upgrade the electronics to facilitate people being able to see the city council see the city council meetings and planning and zoning meetings. Should we go through everyone? Let's go through everyone.
What if we just went to the third page? You know, you've got all the details. The third page is one where it talks about
Yeah.
the 6 action items.
Right.
And I'll go, if I can just
Yep.
concentrate on those, we can go backwards if we need to, but
Sure.
number 1 is approve the quote from Digital Horizons for $50,693.91 in related expenses. Now talking with Mr. Maroney, and we did get the quote for $1,500 for electrical work. We're gonna have staff time to tear down for the new location. So in that one, we're probably looking at more like a $55,000 total. And so authorized expenditures for Digital Horizon and related expense for $55,000. If you want to take them individually or all at once, all at once is fine with me.
All at once is fine, yeah.
Okay. The next item is include Ford Explorer. I included in front of you, each of you, another memo today. We did get the current quotes for two different Ford Explorers. One from 1040 Ford out of St. Cloud for $34,573, and the other one for Kimber Creek for $35,425. When you look at the options, they're really only $142 apart because we do need the certain trailer hitch. And again, the memo goes into the details why we're identifying that we need this due to the added expense for COVID-19. The proposed vehicles are essentially spec'd out squad cars that we have. However, under the state bid, they were all sold out. These two companies are essentially matching state bid, but it's very close. So technically, the low bid was from 1040 Ford out of St. Cloud.
No extra lights hooked onto those.
No, sir, none goes on these.
Are we just discussing all these line items first and then?
I think,
and
yeah.
open this-
In one motion. Yeah.
Were there any questions on this one?
Are we gonna discuss each line item, or do you want to go through them all first and then?
I'd like to go through each one of them individually first, and then
Okay.
Yeah.
One, on this one, I see, you know, a dealer out of St. Cloud is low bid by not much,
$142.
$142. Does that include delivery, or is that staff time driving down to go pick it up?
Staff, vehicle, time to go get it.
So with staff time and mileage and everything else, would it be in our best interest to potentially look at Kimber Creek at the $148? Would that be a cost savings plus keeping dollars local?
You include staff time and 2 staff members going down, yes, it would be cheaper at Kimber Creek, technically.
I'd be more in favor of purchasing through Kimber Creek at that
I
point.
would too, yes.
Okay.
Can't argue with that.
The next item is the purchase of Wi-Fi equipment, quote from SHI for $2,177. That is, we provide Wi-Fi free in City Hall, but the idea of these hotspots has been improved, and the idea would get both parking lots and the playground areas, so parents sitting out there, while one kid's working or studying, they could use this facility also. And this would be a covered expense also. Any questions on this one? The next one, number 4, is approved purchase of 9 computers. Lenovo ThinkPads X1 Yoga. Forgive me for not knowing all the details. You want to talk Chevy Motors, I can. I cannot talk computers, so.
Translate for us, Michael.
That's a good computer.
There we go.
Thank you.
These would end up being very similar to the Surface tablets that we're using right now for council members. We're trying not to get it too far off. It doesn't go all the way to the Apples, but it is a very good product. And actually, when we talked 9, that was including 5 council members, 3 office staff, and 1 public works supervisor. But the 2 other office staff, one actually a lesser computer because it has a keypad on there. So what I'm suggesting is that we authorize up to $16,000 for expenditures related to this, because there's also some licensing that is required that we don't have to get when we have the tablets. Any questions? And yes, I totally leaned against Michael for help on this one.
Yes. Any comments, anybody? Okay,
None?
next item?
The last item I have, or not the last, number 5 is the PPE expenditures, and that's included.
There's a list there.
We had started an application for federal FEMA dollars. Apologize that didn't get done, and there's just been so much going on. And I did want to note, and that's the spreadsheet page. Rebecca caught that there's a $21.75 for electrical. That should not be included also. So it really is closer to $2,300 for other PP&E. And there still may be more depending on how things go. I will know the personal protective equipment that was used for the elections, that was actually all supplied by the county. And so there was no cost to the city for that other than election judges, and we had lots of them. And they did a great job. So what we'll be looking for is personal protective equipment in the amount of $2,500 for this amount. And then finally, the one that, we talked about this a little bit at the council meeting previously, and so now it's come down to there'll be an extra approximately $80,000 left over of the $425.32. Point being, the county's running a program that allows local businesses and nonprofits to apply for up to a $10,000 grant. They are working with BLADAC. All that information's been included here and in the previous month. And so the council would need to decide if they'd like to go into that program. Finally, for the public's information, things like liquor license reimbursements are not allowed. State statutes or state orders are very clear. And then we also had some employees that did outside work, and that was not allowed. And when I say it wasn't allowed, these are discussions I'm having with the city's auditor. And because they are one of the three agencies that audit the city auditor, the state auditor, and the federal government when it's all said and done. And so we wanted to make sure we followed the rules appropriately. If we don't use the funds, they will go to the county. Whatever we don't use, if it's the $80,000, and if we don't even accept the funds from the state, that'll all go to the state of Minnesota. So that's why we put this together, making sure we dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's.
Yeah, so to make a long story short, we've put together all of what we think are qualified expenses, and out of the 187 plus that we get, we would be spending the money on those items or being reimbursed for those items. And then whatever's left over goes to the county, and then the county can disperse that to businesses and nonprofits for, it's qualified expenses again, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, so the
It
business
has to meet the three criteria that were covered in the first page. Expense to be necessary due to COVID-19. Sorry, but I never went through them, so
right,
a municipality should document these facts. They are unaccounted, meaning they were not in an adopted budget. And 3, incurred during the covered period from 3/1/2020 through 11/15/2020. We did look at other expenses, like replacing the bathrooms out here because to make them year-round, but the timing just wasn't fast enough.
Okay. Any further questions? Michael, I'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Line item 1, Digital Horizons, the boardroom is essentially update. I read through their quote. It's using existing speakering. I've got a concern, will it integrate properly with their system? I'm assuming so, but concerns with that. And then also, I know we've talked about wireless microphones, Mr. Mayor, and it's another item to clean, and I wonder if there might be boom mics that might be better, that are better suited than what these tabletops are. Essentially, what I'm kind of asking is can we direct staff to, expense these, but can we allow a buffer not to, I know we've always said not to exceed X dollars, 50,000. Can we give them some buffer in case they come up with, hey, the speakers are having issues, instead of us forwarding the remaining funds to the county and saying, oh, we could have used another $2,500 to upgrade that, and we could have done it with, these expenses, but we've already forwarded it on.
Well, the problem with that is that we have to commit to the dollars that we want by what date?
All dollars have to be done by November 15th. The county wants to know, obviously. Other cities that met twice a month have already done it, Baxter, Brainerd, but we can have I won't use that word, slush fund, so let's use it. We can have a reserve. If the council likes, let's make it 70,000 to that program, and then there might be, 5 to 10,000 go to that program, or to the county after that.
And then if we have leftover funds?
That all goes to, that's the reserve funds that I'm talking about.
All right, so I mean, those reserve funds, we could draw on them, but then if we have extra, then that goes to the county when we're done?
Yes.
Okay, that'll work. So
I'd like to see that, and also with the Wi-Fi, it looks like the equipment was there, but, it's not staff time or Sourcewell coming in to install that. So it might be something that, it seems like we're going to have to rush to get these expenses. And I just want to make sure that we're not overseeing something and forgetting about something, that allow that slush fund of 8,000, whatever it is, the remaining to bring down to 70.
And
so commit to the county, the 70.
That's what I want to get to is, so we want to have a reserve of how much? What would you say, Patrick?
I said if we committed, I think if we committed 65,000 to the county's business fund, that would leave enough for us. And then still, I think there'll be plenty left over for.
Okay, so that would be increasing from 50 to 65,000 for the digital horizon stuff?
I think Michael was just wanted to say that to get the job
Like
done.
any of these items to be able to get done, the Wi-Fi,
Yeah, exactly.
one.
Yeah.
It just gives us a cushion.
Okay, so a reserve amount of how much?
At this point, I'd say of the 187,000, we have plans to expense it all, except for 65,000 we are gonna commit to the county with potential of submitting to them more once these projects have been completed or.
Okay, I'm still confused.
So it's an additional 15,000
So an additional 15,000 for our reserve fund, is what you're saying?
to the, less to the, or excuse me, 15,000
To
less
ex-
to the county.
Two expenses
15,000 more.
that may come
Okay.
up that aren't budgeted at this point.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, any,
Michael Dunn.
Yeah, sorry.
Gary?
Now, when this goes to the county, it's still available strictly to Breezy Point, is that correct?
That's a qualified yes from the standpoint of the money that we send to the county can be used for any business in the county, correct?
They want us to identify the 65,000. Their intent is that they will already be adding 3 times that amount to the area, to each of the communities.
How do we notify the businesses in Breezy Point that this money, that there may be 10,000 available to them?
Deb and I talked about that. If you remember, a year ago, we held the focus group that was with all the businesses, and so we would use that. But then also, there's been articles in the paper, there's been news reports about anybody in Crow Wing County can apply for these funds. It's already been out there for a couple of weeks. They've been notified. We're hoping that they will then add Breezy Point to the list.
Okay, Rebecca, anything?
No, I think it's a good program. I'd like to move forward with it to keep the money in the city and in the county as opposed to just allowing the state to use it for whatever they deem appropriate. And thank you, Patrick and Deb and Gary, I'm sure, for putting together this list. It's very helpful as far as the expenses that you've incurred so far and that you will incur. I agree with Michael. I'm not, the tech person, but I do know like other businesses have like, even mics from the ceilings that are really great at picking up. So there might be some other alternatives to look at that would be good. There.
Agreed, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for your efforts. Councilman Maroney, Patrick, and Deb, you had your fingers in that, the finance stuff. Huh?
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the COVID-related expenses. It's kind of, I can't really give you an exact number at this point, but basically to approve the COVID-related expenses that is identified by the administration.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Kind of a hard one.
But we are committing to 65,000.
That was an easy one.
Bacon's gonna gain the name So Moved as a nickname.
So moved.
Gary so moved Bakken.
So moved, Bakken.
All those in favor, Michael, anything? Did you want that? Gary?
No.
Rebecca?
No.
Gary?
No, sir.
Okay. Yes,
So is there going to be a second motion, or did that include the 65,000?
that included the 65,000.
Included.
Basically, as you identify it,
Yes.
because it's kind of a nebulous target.
Right, but on the agenda, I had it as 2 separate items, that's why I was clarifying.
Oh, you did?
Yes. One was for the CARES funding to Crow Wing County, one was for the expenditures.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why I had clarified if that was 2 separate actions, or you rolled it into one.
I rolled it into one.
Thank you.
Yes. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Carried. Appointment of park committee member. I had 2 applications for the Park Committee. It was really kind of a difficult choice. Both applicants had an vested interest in the Park Committee, and would have been, either one of them would have been very qualified to sit on the Park Committee. I did have to boil it down, and I'm appointing Joe Garcia as the new Park Committee member. As I was saying, both have vested interest with children or with grandchildren here. They both, from what I was asking each one on the interviews, they had equivalent viewpoints and priorities. And the reason I selected Joe was he's bringing the public safety aspect. He has an insight to, that was one of the things he was really highlighting, was his ability to bring that to the Park Committee, and he feels that he thought that was a good attribute to bring, and I agreed, and that's why I appointed him over the other candidate. But both were excellent candidates to sit on the committee. And I have talked to Joe, he's accepted, and I did leave a message for the other candidate, but didn't get a chance to talk to her directly. Next item is approved cellular monitoring devices for the lift stations. The lift stations have cellular, it's a modular cellular phone that will call specific calling list in case of problems with that lift station. They need to be replaced because they will no longer operate on the 5G service, and so they will cease functioning by December 31st. So Public Works is planning to replace these for the 8 cellular devices. So I'll entertain a motion to purchase from the low bidder the 8 cellular station monitoring systems for a total of $6,880.
So moved.
Second.
You beat him.
Sleep? No! I was just waiting.
I seconded it.
Discussion. Gary?
No, sir.
Rebecca?
No.
None.
Gary? All those in favor of purchasing the cellular phones for the lift stations, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Purchase is approved. And that basically completes the items. And so you also have the copy of the police statistics for the month of August. So take a look at those. You can kind of look into it, and you can see that between 2019 and 2020, the fewer people that are in the city, especially with the traffic citations, down significantly. So we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Well, that was a busy meeting.